I remember back then, there was a lack of support. There wasn't enough coming from social services. My family was broken, arguing all the time, falling out. We just weren't functional. And I had no one to help me, no one to turn to. So I turned to alcohol. I started to feel not worthy and I ended up on the streets at 16 working as a prostitute for a while. And then I met my first partner. He didn't turn out to be so great. He was abusive, controlling. But I was with him for over 12 years and we had a son. Things became a nightmare when he hit me. A lot of people think, oh, it's so easy, let's walk out of this abuse, but it's not easy. It doesn't work like that. They don't get the manipulation. They don't get the things they do just to keep you there. You're left doubting all the time. Was it really that bad? Was I making a mountain out of a molehill in that incident? Or being a drama queen? I barely touched you, or I only slapped you, not stabbed you with a knife. It's the way that they do it, belittling and making you doubt yourself. So when people are out there going, oh, just walk off. No, it's not that easy. It's not. If you haven't got the right support in place or family you can rely on or friends, you always end up back where you started. And then he just left me and my son to get on with things. So then my mental health got worse. Social services were always involved over the years, but they never offered much support. It was always, you must do this, you must do that. If you don't do this, we'll take your son away. And they did. They took him and just left me there with no support, nowhere to go. It was a friend that came to my rescue, but my life just fell apart. I couldn't stay on a settee for the rest of my life. Where do I go? There was nothing. One night we was drinking. We started talking about me going to work in a brothel to earn some money, and that's how it started. Addiction to drugs started. I started drinking more. I was being abused in my job. I needed the money, but I was being traumatised all the time. And still no real support, nothing. I got into trouble with shoplifting. Then I lost my second flat because I couldn't pay my rent on time. It just got worse. I met guys that were worse than my ex-partner. Abuse, drugs, drinking, family breakup. My mental health was in a very serious way. I didn't want to live anymore or carry on, so I tried to end my life. I was discharged from hospital and ended up back in Wolverhampton and stayed with my mum and sometimes my sister. But I was so mentally unstable and they had problems of their own, so I disappeared and ended up living in a brothel in Birmingham where my drug and trauma got worse. I let my family down, including my son and daughter. Drugs got worse, and I was so desperate I went back to my ex-partner thinking it would be the answer, but it wasn't. It hit me that I had to leave him, but I still didn't trust the services. I was still prostituting, living in another working girl's home, but that wasn't safe because a boyfriend was beating her and stuff, and that was re-triggering. I had no lock on my door, so they were coming into my room and stuff, and I thought to myself, you know, I'm in trouble here. So I went to POW, and that was my turning point. They support women in my situation and were really helpful. They helped me claim benefits, which I hadn't done for years. They pushed me to go for housing and get my GP sorted out, told me to keep going and that one door closes but another one will open. But it's really hard work because you're in a desperate situation. You don't want to lose your place at the brothel. I didn't want to be seen as a troublemaker. It's just what it's done to women in that sort of environment. It's important that women are kept safe. It's not their fault, and no client should come through that door to come to abuse you. They put me in a mixed hostel, which just made my mental health worse. I got used. It was my nature. I was a working girl, and I was an addict. To me, I was nobody at the time. But I came to a breaking point where, I had a breakdown. I thought, I can't do this. I've got to sort my life out. I can't live like this anymore. So I opened up to a member of staff and they got me moved to a women's hostel. But I felt isolated and everything was catching up with me, reflecting on what had been happening over the years. But a team of support workers were addressing my drinking at the time. I was going to recovery college and I got moved from out of the women's hostel into one of the shared accommodation houses to be more independent. There was a point where I stopped drinking altogether, stopped doing drugs, sorted out my benefits and seeing what I was entitled to. Generally addressing my mental health. Well, some of it, Some of it, I wasn't ready for it. But I managed to stop sex working. I could say, I'm not coming back, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. I want a life now. It was so important to help me make positive changes. But I know there is a future for me. I know there is. There's time to make even more changes. I want to help make things better because I went there. I went there for women. And if that was there for me at the time when I lost my house, my life could have been different. As far as services go, I want to see more progress and better communication to help you through abuse or anything traumatic like that. I want to see families approach it together. That would have helped back then. It is what it is today, but it could have been something else if the support was there and the right services. That's why I want to talk about it. I think it's very important now to get as many voices out there, and we'll get services to do what they should be doing, because the life I've had should never be a life for any female. At the moment, I'm sorting out my medication, the drinking, sorted out my budgeting. When I'm ready, which is brewing up, I will start tackling the flat, and then I can get back to a routine. It was hard for me doing all the stuff I've done, but I did it. I felt like walking away, but I've stuck to it. There were painful moments, but it's like they say, it always gets worse before it gets better. I don't feel the things in my past are really hurting me anymore. It's not impacting or making me feel low. I am slowly patching my relationship up with my family. My mental health is a bit more stable, and I continue to heal. It's like, yeah, never give up.